Cool. So in macroeconomics, there's only three policies for the UK economy.
Mm,
So the policies are fiscal policy,
yep,
monetary policy,
yep,
and supply side policy. Okay, so supply side policy is way more different to the other two. That's because these two are demand side policies.
yeah.
Yeah. And then supply side policy is a supply side policy. So for each of these, we need to know when to use them. Okay. So like what their purpose is or what they're good at doing.
Mm,
Always relate that to the four macroeconomic objectives.
okay.
And then the second thing is we need to know, so that will get you like a B grade most of the time, as long as you know what the policies are, how to talk about them, how they work. But
Yeah.
to get to do well in the essays, you need to be able to evaluate all of them,
Okay.
depending on the content.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the four objectives and then talk about what each of the policies do. So what are the four objectives?
For objectives, would one be profit maximization?
Now for macroeconomics, for the UK economy.
Okay.
So profit maximization and stuff is for firms. So profit max, sales max, but that's micro or topic one. But in macro, we're talking about the UK economy. So it's stuff like economic growth. What else?
Would one be low employment?
Low unemployment.
Um,
Low unemployment, yeah, not low employment, but yeah.
yeah, low unemployment, and would one be low inflation?
Yeah, stable inflation. So like 2%,
Let me
and
think.
then balance of payments.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we should talk about that when we're talking about the policies. So like getting the most of these.
Mm,
And the thing is, there will always be conflicts between all of them, meaning it's hard to achieve all four at the same time.
yeah.
Cool. So what is fiscal policy? So fiscal policy is the use of government spending and taxation to shift aggregate demand.
So the use of government intervention
Government spending,
or government spending. And what was that one again?
taxation. It's on the screen if you can see it.
No, I can't really see it. I can't lie. It's kind of bugging out.
Wait, is it not sharing properly or is it on your side?
No, it's not sharing properly.
Oh, I'll try and share again. Now?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, cool.
Oh, this would be for you scope and touch. Okay, yeah, got that.
Cool. Then monetary policy is the use of interest rates to shift AD. And you can obviously continue and like say what else it's used for, but it's going to be about these, mostly about these three. We don't really talk about this because that's for like exports and imports, but these policies will affect these three things. Okay.
Okay.
So then for each of them, let's have a basic chain of reasoning. So if the economy is in a recession or has low aggregate demand, so stuff like, so the characteristics of so you'd use it when there's low aggregate demand, so low, so lots of unemployment. Okay. So high unemployment or deflation or poor growth, which I already said. Okay.
Mm.
So if the economy has low AD, so basically lots of unemployment, low prices, or poor growth, then the government can increase spending. Yeah.
Yeah.
This will cause AD to shift to the right. Because do you know the equation for AD?
Finish for AD. I swear it's I
C
don't know, I'm not sure.
I plus G plus X minus M. Okay.
Yeah.
It is total planned spending in the economy. So do you know what C, I, G, and X minus M are?
I think X minus I swear that's exports and imports, right?
Yep.
Uh
So G is
G
government spending, I is
oh
investment, so basically firm spending, and C is
yeah.
consumer spending. So all the types of spending that happen in the economy. So obviously we're doing G. Fiscal policy is when you do more G, more government spending. So if
Yeah.
any of these change, then AD will change as well. So that's what happens. That's why AD shifts to the right.
So you said that C is on what again, sorry?
Consumer spending. Oh,
And I is
so consumption, investment, government spending, and net. So exports minus imports.
oh okay. Yeah, got that.
You got the diagram. Okay. So if AD shifts to the right, then real GDP increases, price
Mm.
increases, and there will be more jobs in the economy too. So unemployment will fall. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Um, so that's just like the explanation part. And you can also say the opposite. So you can say, let's use contractionary fiscal policy, and it's the opposite. So when there's a lot of inflation or growth is too high, then we can do the opposite. So reduce spending. Okay,
Oh, okay.
cool. This spending can be on anything. It could be more benefits. It could be more infrastructure, spending money on better transport, on the buses, on roads, making the parks better, schools. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So at the end, you can talk about the macroeconomic objectives to judge what happens because of the policy.
Mm.
Let's do the same for monetary policy. Do you know what interest rates are?
Yeah.
How would you describe that?
That's how much money you have to pay the bank on top of what you take out in the loan, right?
Yeah. So interest rates are the cost of borrowing or reward for saving.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's just keep it simple and remove this part, but it's the same thing. Okay. So if the Bank of England lower interest rates, it becomes cheaper to borrow money. Therefore, more people will borrow, therefore, spend more. Consumption goes up. Since AD equals C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Yeah.
Mm.
And the rest of it you can just copy. So um AD will also shift to the right since consumption went up. Does that make sense?
Like if people go around and spend more, consumption goes up.
So basically, fiscal policy is about the aim is to boost AD. Fiscal policy is by boosting G. So the
Mm.
government spend themselves, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Monetary policy is incentivizing consumers to spend. Okay,
Oh, okay.
cool. If AD shifts to the right, and then you just draw the diagram again. Yep. So that's the key. And then explain the effect on the objective. So do all four of them apart from balance of payments, because that's like more about trade stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this will obviously affect all of them then, except
Sorry.
balance. So it'll affect all of them except the balance of payments.
Yeah. It
Oh,
kind of
okay.
the balance of payments, but we don't need to talk about it. It will just confuse us. So let's leave that for now. And it's probably not really going to affect it much. So yeah.
Okay. AD shifts to the right. Okay, cinema, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Um, so that's the basics done. Yeah. So now you know what the policy is. So the policies are used to change the outcomes of these objectives. Maybe they're too low, so we use the policy to make them go up. Okay. Or maybe inflation is too high, so you do less of the policy to make the opposite effects. Okay.
Oh, okay.
The common questions in the essay are things like um they would ask things like what policy should we use to tackle high unemployment? Yeah. Or to tackle this recession. Okay.
Okay.
And then you just pick, you'd probably go through both of them and explain the effects of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure you refer to the graph as well by saying like we go from P1 to P2 and Y1 to Y2 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then, so everyone's going to know that in the exam. So that's not going to get you a very high mark. But once you've done that, you have a chance to evaluate and explain if it's useful, if it's not useful, if it's a good policy, if it's a
Mm.
very good policy, if it's a bad policy. So let's go into that now. Okay. So this bit evaluating. So the main things I like to talk about are these. I'll start with the easiest one. I would say confidence.
Mm.
Confidence is just saying that, let's say you lower interest rates. Normally, if you lower interest rates, people will borrow more and spend more.
Mm.
But let's say there's low confidence in the economy. Even if you lower interest rates, then people would still be scared to borrow money because they think that there might be deflation. So there's no need to borrow money because if I borrow money, then the value of my money will Um,
or decrease?
no, actually, it's the opposite. My value of my money would increase. So that's not really a good point for me. But it would mean that you don't want to spend money because the goods are getting cheaper. So you're gonna not spend money right now anyway.
Oh, because you're gonna think that you can get it later on if it's still
Yeah. So
cheap.
like if there's deflation, TVs
Yeah.
might be £800 now, but they might go down to £700 later. So
Mm.
people don't want to spend money now. So why would they take out a loan?
Oh, okay. And then that's like it to save as well.
Yeah. But just in general, like low confidence and uncertainty,
Oh, okay.
even if like the average person doesn't know economics, they're not even gonna think about, they might not know economics, but the average person would still be scared to take out money.
Mm.
So that's one thing. So if you have low growth or lots of unemployment, why would an unemployed person take out um like a loan? Maybe they have to, but otherwise they wouldn't just do it because interest rates go down. They wouldn't think like that.
Mm.
So then the policy might not work. That can apply for both of them actually. Same with so with monetary policy, you talk about the interest rates example. But with fiscal policy, we can go in more detail and say something quite interesting about the multiplier. So the
Mm.
multiplier effect is when an increase in government spending leads to an even greater increase in GDP. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, can you give an example of what happens when the multiplier is high?
The next one is high. Would a That's high. An example.
Shall I do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when the economy is doing really well,
Yeah.
the government spends money on roadworks, then
Mm.
they're gonna hire some staff to do all the roadworks. Maybe they're gonna paint new signs on the road or make new um like a new zebra crossing or whatever it is. After
Yeah.
that, the people are gonna get paid quite well and they're gonna go out maybe to a restaurant afterwards. And then they're also gonna tip the waiters or
Yeah.
waitresses, and those people are gonna get the restaurant's also going to make more income, and the restaurant owners and the staff are going to go out for dessert after and spend it or buy a drink or something after that.
Mm.
So just by spending a little bit more money on roadworks, the government have boosted consumption and flow of money all around the economy by more than what they initially started with.
Yeah.
But if the confidence is low, like let's say we're in COVID, which most essays would like, there might be some essays on COVID this year because it happened recently.
Yeah.
So if the government spent money on COVID on roadworks or something, then the person would just take their salary and then they just go straight home after. They wouldn't go out and buy dessert or drink or a meal.
Mm.
So therefore, it would make the policy more ineffective, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So you could shift AD and it won't really increase. But if the multiplier is high, I increase it that much and then it leads to it increasing even more, which is really good.
Mm.
But if it's low, then I'm trying to increase it that much, but it only increases this much.
Oh, okay.
That's multiplier. Okay. Another thing, what's um another thing that's bad about fiscal policy.
Yeah.
So one is we have to watch out to see if the multiplier is high or low. We prefer it to be high, otherwise it's a waste of money. And then secondly, it's also a waste of money, right? It can be a waste of money, opportunity cost, or can increase the budget deficit and lead to other problems. So greater national debt. So if the government spend a lot of money on policies like schooling or roadworks or parks or improving different things, like eat out to help out or stuff like that, then
Yeah.
that would increase the debt. And it can also lead to future generations or future years having to pay more tax or getting less spending. So now we might have to suffer because they spent too much in COVID time.
Mm.
So that's called austerity. You don't need to know that word. It's just a fancy word for it.
Yep.
So then that means that there'll be another future recession maybe because of solving the current recession.
Okay.
This wouldn't apply for the interest rates thing, but for interest rates, we could have another point. We could say that we could say interest rates can only go down to 0%. Like if it's 0% already, we or 0.2% or something, we can't lower interest rates anymore to encourage spending. So it's limited to how much you can use it. Does it all make sense so far?
Yeah.
Cool. And then there's one really fancy one, like an A-star one, which is crowding out.
Oh yeah, that was in my exam recently, I can't lie.
Oh, okay, cool. So crowding out, do you have any idea what it is?
I swear it's when what was it again? I remember I did it. Quite out. I swear it's when people are less likely to spend. I mean, also less likely to save and spend more, right? So therefore the banks will get less money.
Basically, or government. So fiscal policy is about government spending, yeah.
Yeah,
So in order for the government to spend more, they need more revenue.
yeah.
Where does it get? Where does that come from?
From people's taxes.
People's taxes, and especially from high income people, they might raise taxes or they
Mm.
borrow by selling bonds.
Oh, okay.
Now, if they sell bonds, the people who usually buy bonds are very rich people who want to save money.
Mm.
Companies. So let's say like companies like Sainsbury's, they might buy some government bonds just to save some of their profits. Now, if they do that, then the businesses and individuals have reduced income. So then they will be less likely to spend. While let's say the government spend money on benefits, other people will be more likely to spend. But it's just cancelling everything out.
Oh,
Canceling
okay.
of spending more in the first place. Okay,
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Yeah.
cool. So another thing is that's useful to mention is the time lag. So monetary policy doesn't have much of a time lag. So monetary policy can be controlled every month.
Yeah.
Bank of England can change interest rates every month. And then it won't affect straight away, but it will go on the news straight away. And then within a month or two, that will filter down to local banks. So we don't borrow money from the Bank of England. We just borrow money from local banks, but the local banks copy the Bank of England.
Yeah.
So there's like a short time lag. So that's a good thing. So if you want to affect the economy, you can change the interest rates, and within a month, you'll see some impact.
Mm.
Fiscal policy is kind of similar as well. You can spend money, and that money will go straight into the economy. You don't have to wait for it to get in. So if I
Mm.
decide I'm going to give everyone more benefits, you'll get it straight away, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So that's a good thing. One final point, which is bad about it, is that there could be inflation because when you're trying to increase growth from Y1 to Y2, right?
Yeah.
Up here, you're going from P1 to P2, which means there's more inflation.
Okay.
So the best thing to do is to mention that, consider where you are on the curve or on the economic cycle. So I'll give an example. Okay. Let me draw it actually. So let's say we go, okay. So if we have a supply curve like that,
Yeah.
see that?
Hmm.
Okay. And then we have price level and then GDP. Let's say we're at a recession, so we have very, very, very low employment,
Mm.
and we have very low prices. If we shift AD to the right, then look, we get out of our recession and we get a big increase in GDP and not that much inflation. So that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's say we're here and we want to increase GDP more. We could shift AD and this would happen. So we only go down a bit, we only increase GDP a bit, but we're going to start causing a lot of inflation.
Okay.
So you have to argue that maybe it's better to use these demand side policies when there's a recession, okay?
Mm.
But it's a bad idea when the economy is already in a good state because you're going to cause too much inflation.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Okay. But then on the other hand, when AD is low, then you have these other issues that confidence is low, there's a lot of uncertainty, the multiplier is low. So is it even going to work?
Mm.